Hello friends and viewers, and welcome to my Garcia character guide. Garcia's trait is Executioner. Garcia gains stacks of rotational acceleration every turn, increasing attack and defense by 4% per stack. She has various damage gains at 3 stacks, 6 stacks, and 9 stacks of rotational acceleration. At minimum, Garcia will cap rotational acceleration stacks after 7 turns. Keep in mind that rotational acceleration can be dispelled. Her initial skill is Execution Time. Execution Time is a 2 energy cost, no turn cooldown skill that deals 120% physical damage. Garcia gains 1 stack of rotational acceleration when defeating targets with this skill. This is the only other way for her to accrue rotational acceleration stacks outside of her trait. This can be used on items and objects to gain stacks. At 6 stacks of rotational acceleration, Execution's time damage increases by 45%. At rank 1, I recommend Lock On. Lock On is a passive skill that inflicts a physical defense 2 debuff on an enemy with the highest physical attack within 6 tiles at the start of Garcia's turn. This is a fine skill for Garcia to lock on a target at the start of her turn, but this does lose value as your character roster grows with more frequent sources of physical defense debuffs. Battle Fever uses a skill slot to allow Garcia to decrease damage taken after attacking. Lock On offers better utility by being more likely to increase overall group damage, but long term, neither skill is likely to be part of Garcia's regular skill loadout. At rank 3, I recommend Taste of Blood. Taste of Blood is an instant support skill with defensive and offensive properties. It is a self-dispel and self-heal and grants Garcia the potential burst buff, which increases attack by 20%, defense by 40%, and provides immunity to attribute debuffs. Taste of Blood has an average uptime of 25% while costing 1 energy, but it can be a quick damage boost to land a kill. Hookshot is the same skill as Recruited Assassin. This can be used to isolate a priority target while blocking reaction skills for 1 turn, but it does have a 4-turn cooldown and may be made redundant by Garcia's Spinning Blade learned at rank 7. At rank 5, I recommend Fatal Reaping. Fatal Reaping allows Garcia to perform an assisting attack within 3 tiles of a cross-shaped range around her if the targeted enemy is dying after being attacked. The assisting attack deals piercing damage equal to 50% of the target's lost HP, which slightly diversifies Garcia's damage profile. Counterattack allows Garcia to return with a strike back after receiving an active attack from the front or side. While Fatal Reaping is a conditional reaction skill with regards to Garcia's position and the enemy's health, it is more useful for securing kills. Unlike most characters' reaction skill options, neither option is decreasing damage taken for Garcia anyway. At rank 7, I recommend Spinning Blade. Spinning Blade is an instant skill that drags an enemy to Garcia and deals 70% damage. If Spinning Blade defeats the target, then Garcia will recover 2 energy. Spinning Blade contests with Execution Time as an energy spender, but because Spinning Blade is an instant skill, Garcia can still follow up with a basic attack. Lone Ranger increases Garcia's attack, defense, and crit when there are no allies within 2 tiles around her, but learning this depends on your risk tolerance. If you plan to equip Garcia with a Maverick's Cloak, you might consider this. At rank 9, I recommend Painful Cutting. Painful Cutting deals damage 3 times, but each damage instance has a unique chance to crit. She will also have increased crit chance against injured targets. Sealing Attack blocks passive skills against injured targets. Strictly from a damage perspective, Painful Cutting has the greater ceiling, and I recommend looking to other unit skill kits to block enemies' passive skills. At rank 11, I recommend Hidden Executioner. Hidden Executioner brings debuff utility by inflicting Isolate and Blocks Dodge on the target if the enemy has no allies within a 1-tile radius. The effects last for 2 turns. Gale Dance is Garcia's only learnable AoE skill and grants her a welcome crit 2 buff before attacking. While this does help diversify Garcia's damage profile, it is unfortunately set back by having a long 5-turn cooldown. This is my general build recommendation. In this build, use Taste of Blood either offensively or defensively, whichever makes the most sense. Choose between Spinning Blade or Execution Time as Garcia's core energy spender. Both have different benefits for defeating enemy targets, but if Spinning Blade fails to kill a target, Garcia can still follow up with a basic attack. For your third skill slot, choose between Hidden Executioner or Lock On, depending on the debuffs available in your deployed team composition. For weapon recommendations, Void Stab is a good option for the crit and crit damage increases. With instant skills such as Taste of Blood and Spinning Blade, Garcia can quickly accrue void stacks to increase crit damage. Newborn Blade is a fine option for both the physical attack and HP increases. Ever-Burning Blade is another competitive option for the direct single target damage increase against scorched enemies, but assumes you have this weapon at star level 5 to be most efficient. For Trinkets, Shield of Justice and Origin Hourglass are good options for the passive stat increases. Maverick's Cloak is a reasonable option, provided you can maintain Garcia's positioning and uptime on the attack, defense, and crit increases. Otherwise, Spring Pill is always a fine option to add more self-sustain on the front line, helpful to alternate with Taste of Blood casts. For tarot options, Verdict of Justice is a good option for the crit and crit damage increases. Hierophant's Laws is a good option to directly increase her single target damage and Taste of Blood heal, assuming you roll the additional effect. On any maps with high target count, it is always reasonable to consider Temptation of the Devil. As for Engravings, Sword and Wand remains the best option for the attack and defense increases after moving 3 tiles. To provide some composition and usage tips, at minimum, it will take anywhere from 5 to 7 turns for Garcia to cap rotational acceleration stacks. The longer maps are, then the more lethal she becomes, but she may be outclassed on shorter maps. Additionally, recall that rotational acceleration can be dispelled, so it will be important to protect her from any dispelling strikes. Garcia is part of the Papal States and Fortitude categories. Consider building a team with her using Karis's and or Magnus's leader's auras. For a quick overview of external category buffs, Karis offers a strong aura to increase damage dealt and reduce damage taken. Rotational acceleration will contribute to the buff count, but Garcia will need further buff support. Magnus's aura decreases damage taken when healthy and immunizes Garcia against the negative effects of injured. That concludes this character guide. If you have any feedback to share with me, please leave a comment below. I'm open to listening and being wrong. I'm another player improving and learning more about Sword of Convallaria just like you are. Remember, if you find conflicting information to other guides or content creators, then that means there are multiple ways to build a character and still achieve success. Finally, my social media contacts are displayed here to connect with me as well. Last but not least, I want to credit and shout out these resources for helping me put together this character guide. Voyage Memento for character build samples and reference links, the No Potion fan site for skill images and skill descriptions, and the Billy Game site for character art assets. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.